so welcome back, kids online at your house, and welcome to the kids here at Children's Church. I'm so glad to see you guys today. So I'm going to ask you a question and see if you know the answer. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the prophet that we studied last week?
Was it Elijah?
It was Elijah. You guessed it right away. And does anybody know what the story was about last week? Did you get to watch us online at your house last week?
Yes.
Yeah, do you remember what happened in the story?
He met the king.
Well, that was 2 weeks ago, but you're right. Elijah did meet the king, and then what happened then? What did he tell the king?
He told that there was going to be that he would.
He said there wasn't going to be any rain for a long time, right? And did that happen, do you know? It sure did. And then a big bird came down, a raven came down, and he fed Elijah. That was a miracle. Wasn't that neat? And then last week, Elijah met a widow, a lady that didn't have a husband anymore. And when he saw the widow, he wanted her to make something for him. Do you know what he asked her for?
For some bread, but he didn't want to because God told him to do that.
That's right. God told him to ask the widow for some bread. And she said, but if I make you bread, I only have a little tiny bit of flour, and I was going to make that for me and my son. But she did it anyway. She obeyed, and she made Elijah some bread. And then she went to look in her flour can after that, and what happened to the flour?
It was really full.
It was full again, and that was so exciting. And you learned all that from being at your house last week. That's amazing. That's a great story, and it shows how much God provided for Elijah. Well, today is our last story about Elijah, and it's going to be really, really exciting, and it involves fire. Can you all say, Shazam? Want to say it with me? Ready? Shazam!
What is that?
It means fire. Shazam! Well, we'll be talking about that later, okay? So now we're going to do something fun first, okay? So I'd like all of you guys that are here with me to stand up where you are. And all of you kids at home, I would like you to stand up right where you are at your house too. Can you stand up for me? Thank you. Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you to go in a direction. And you're going to you're either going to go right or left when I tell you to.
I don't know.
So right is this one.
Okay.
It's like that arm that doesn't have the bunny on it. Yeah. And left is your other one. Okay?
Left is the one with left hand.
Left is okay. All right. So you got a way to figure that out? Okay. So when you go to the right, you're going to go to the right. Ready? And I'll do it the opposite so you know what to do. Ready, everybody? Right. Walk to the right. Just go like this, sideways. Yeah, there you go. Okay, go to the left. Go to the right. Go to the left. Right. Left. Right. 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 Left. 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 Right. Left. Right. Left. And stop. Whew. Okay, now you can sit down. Whew. Boy, that was hard, wasn't it? Can you walk in two directions at the same time?
No.
No, you can't. That's right. When I said left, you went one way, and when I said right, you went the other. In today's story, Elijah compares worshiping idols as trying to go two directions at the same time. He tells the people they have to decide what direction to go. which direction they will take. Going towards God meant going away from Baal. They couldn't have it both ways. Jesus said something similar. No man can serve two masters, he said, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. He said that serving mammon, which is money or world and the things in the world, would lead you away from God, even to the point of hating him. We have to decide, like another prophet Joshua did, to serve the Lord. You will learn a verse about that later, okay?
Is it Joshua 1:9?
No, it's not Joshua 1:9. It's actually Joshua 24. Another thing that is mentioned in the story we will have today is the worshiping of idols. Do you guys know what an idol is? How about you kids at home?
It's a statue.
It's kind of like a statue. And people worship idols because they think that they're going to help them. But is an idol alive and real?
No.
No. And can it really help you?
No.
No.
Because they actually made it.
That's right. It was made by a man. That's right, by a person.
And also,
did you know there's still people today that worship idols? Just like they did in Elijah's time, there's still people in Southeast Asia and other countries today that still worship idols. Samaritan's Purse, you might have heard of them before. They do like a shoebox ministry every year. They've been helping people by providing farm supplies, distributing mosquito nets, and teaching the people about Jesus. All the people that still are worshiping idols, and they're trying to help them to know about God. So, we're here and we're going to do a little bit of an activity with you before we have our Bible story. Are you ready?
yeah.
Yeah. Uh-oh, somebody said no, he's not ready. What is, oh, did your mask break? Okay, we'll have a teacher fix that for you, okay? So this is what we're going to do in this story, okay, or this activity. If you are in kindergarten or first grade, raise your hand.
I'm in kindergarten.
Oh, there's one, there's two. Okay, now the kids in kindergarten and first grade, you're going to have to listen for 3 words in our story. Are you ready to hear your 3 words?
Mhm.
The first word is Ahab, and he's the king that Elijah went to see. And he wasn't a very nice king, was he? But he still was the king. And when you hear the word Ahab, you're going to go like this. You're going to pretend you're putting a crown up like this, and you're going to say, the king. So let's try it. Everybody, Ahab, the king. Good. So if you're in kindergarten or first grade, when you hear the word Ahab, you're going to say, the king.
The king.
Good. Now the second word you're going to listen for is Baal. Now do you know what Baal was?
He was an idol.
He was one of the idols. That's right. And so when you hear the word Baal, you're going to put thumb down. And you're going to say, false god. Baal. False god. Ahab. The king. Baal. False god. Good. And the last word you're going to listen for if you're in kindergarten or first grade is the word water. That's an easy one, right? And you're just going to pretend you're pouring some water and say, wet stuff. Okay, so I'm going to say water and you say, wet stuff. Good. Okay, and we're going to have Miss Pramila help the kids in kindergarten and first grade to remember their words that they're going to say when it's time for them to say it, okay? All right. Now, if you are in second or third grade, raise your hand.
I'm in 3rd grade.
Oh, there's someone in 3rd grade here at Children's Church. Okay, so your words are going to be Elijah, And so when you hear the word Elijah, do you remember what his name means?
God of General.
You're really close. My God is Jehovah. It means God provides, right? So so if you hear Elijah, you're going to go, my God is Jehovah. You want to, so Elijah.
My God is Jehovah.
Yeah, put your hands up and praise too. My God is Jehovah. Good. And when you hear the word Jehovah, you're going to do a thumbs up and say, true God. True God, because that's the God we serve. That's our true God who's alive, right? He's not man-made. And the last one is fire coming down for the second and third graders. And then when you hear the word fire, you're going to pretend fire is coming down from heaven and you're going to say, Shazam! Okay, fire! Shazam! Elijah! My God is Jehovah. And Jehovah. True God. Okay, so you'll get better at this as we tell the story, I'm sure. Okay, so do you need any more practice? Or are you ready for the story?
I'm ready. I think I still do.
Okay, you need some more practice? Okay, so Ahab is the king.
Is the king?
Baal, false god. And water. Wet stuff. Okay, you ready now for the story?
Yeah.
Every time you hear those words in the story, you're going to help me by saying those words and doing those actions, right? Okay. So this story is found in the Bible, and it's a story about Elijah and the prophets of Baal. And it's called The Great Contest. Can you say that with me? The Great Contest. Have you ever been to a contest of any kind?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. What kind of contest have you been to?
I think it was a 4-H contest.
A 4-H contest. That sounds fun. That's a great contest. Let's see what Elijah's contest was about. The drought conditions were continuing to get worse. There was hardly any water
Wet stuff.
to be found anywhere. The creeks had dried up long ago, and the rivers had become patchy mud puddles. Food was scarce for people and for animals. In fact, many of the animals had already died because of the shortage of grass. King Ahab, the king, was beginning to worry about his own herds of cattle and flocks of sheep. He called Obadiah, one of his servants, to his side. Obadiah, he said, something must be done before all the animals die. We must find grass and water. You go in one direction, and I'll go in the other. Just like you guys did before, remember? You were practicing directions. There must be grass somewhere. So King Ahab, the king, and Obadiah set off in different directions in search of fresh grass and water. Well, Obadiah was looking here and there, trying to find mud puddles and grass. He saw a man walking towards him. Who do you think it was?
Jesus.
You think it was Jesus? Any other guesses?
Ahab.
You think maybe it was Ahab? Let's see who was walking towards Obadiah. I wonder who that could be, he said. As the man came closer, Obadiah recognized him. Why, that's Elijah! He exclaimed out loud. Elijah! What's that?
My God is
Jehovah. My God is Jehovah. Good. Elijah!
My God is Jehovah.
Elijah!
My God is Jehovah.
Is that really you? He asked excitedly. Elijah
My God is Jehovah.
stood crowd, how long are you going to try to worship Baal, false god, and Jehovah?
My God is Jehovah.
What's Jehovah?
Oh, true God.
True God. You cannot serve more than one God. If Baal is God, worship him. If Jehovah, true God, is God, worship him. You must make a decision. You must choose one or the other. Remember how you had to make a decision before which way to go? Then Elijah
My God is Jehovah.
said, we're going to have a contest to see who is the real God. So now it's time for the contest in the story. He told them to bring enough wood to build 2 altars. One for... What?
I remember this.
You remember this story? One for Jehovah, true God, and one for Baal, false god. And he told them to bring animals for the sacrifice. One for Jehovah, true God, and one for Baal, false god. The 450 prophets of Baal, false god, built their altar. They prepared the animal for the sacrifice, and then they started praying. O Baal, false god, hear us. O Baal, false god. From morning until night, they kept on shouting. Elijah, true God, was taunting and making... Oh no, I said that wrong, didn't I? Elijah is... My God is Jehovah. He was making fun of them. What's wrong? Can't your God hear you? Has he taken a trip? Why isn't he answering you? Perhaps he's talking to someone else. Maybe you should scream louder. Midday had passed, and now it was getting late into the evening, and the prophets of Baal were still shouting and screaming at the top of their voices. Baal still was not listening. Elijah,
My God
My
is
my
God
God
is
is Jehovah, told the people who were looking on to gather all around. He took 12 stones for his altar. Can you count to 12 with me real fast? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Good. He used the wood that was brought, and he prepared the animal for the sacrifice. And then he did a very strange thing indeed. I wonder what he did.
He crushed the stones?
He told the people to bring him 4 barrels of water. Wet stuff. It sounded pretty strange to them, but they did bring the water. Wet stuff. He poured the water, wet stuff, on the altar and on the sacrifice. What happens if you're trying to build a fire and you pour water all over it? Would it start? Would the fire start?
No.
No, because you need dry wood for a fire. Why would Elijah do something like this? He told them to bring 4 more barrels of water. So how many barrels of water have they brought? 4 plus 4. Does anybody know how many
8.
That would be 8 all together, right? Can you help me count to 8 really slow? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 barrels of water, wet stuff, got poured on top of the fire and the wood. Doesn't Elijah know there's a shortage of water? He said. They were mumbling, but they obediently brought the water and they poured the water, wet stuff, on the altar and on the sacrifice. I'll get your question in a second, honey. There wasn't enough for Elijah.
My God is Jehovah.
he told them to bring him 4 more barrels of water.
16.
Wet stuff. So now how many barrels of water has gone on the fire? 8 plus 4 is
12.
12. Very good. How much water, wet stuff, is he going to waste? Someone whispered. Again, they did as they were told, and they brought the water.
Wet stuff.
And they poured the water
Wet
Wet
stuff.
stuff.
on the sacrifice, and the sacrifice was soaked with water.
Wet stuff.
Water was running off the wood onto the stones and onto the ground. He dug a ditch around the altar and filled it with water also. And then he began to pray a simple prayer. Lord God, let the people know that you are the true God of Israel, and I am your servant. Let them know that I have done these things because you told me to do them. Remember what a prophet does? He takes messages from God and tells them to the people. And that's what he was doing. Just a second, honey.
People.
Hear me, O God, so these people will know that you are the Lord God, and they will serve you again. Ready for a new word? Suddenly, fire came down from heaven, just like the fire in my wood pellet stove that keeps us warm. This fire came down from heaven, and it burned up the sacrifice. It burned up the wood, it burned up the stones, it burned up all of the water that was in the ditch around the altar. When the people saw it, they dropped to the ground in fear, and they cried out, "The Lord, He is God! The Lord, He is God!" Then Elijah turned to King Ahab and said, "Get up, eat and drink. There will be an abundance of rain." So King Ahab had something to eat and drink, and Elijah took his servant with him to the top of Mount Carmel to pray to God and wait for the rain. "Look towards the sea and tell me if you see rain," Elijah said to his servant. The servant peered into the distance, but he didn't see any rain. Elijah kept praying. "Look again," Elijah told him. He looked again, but there still was no rain. Elijah continued praying. He looked 6 times, and each time there was no rain. Not even a small cloud was in sight. Elijah prayed one more time. He asked the servant to look again. This time the servant saw a little cloud way out in the distance over the sea. "Run quickly," Elijah commanded. "Go tell King Ahab to get his chariot ready and get off the mountain before the rain starts." It was just a little while before the sky became dark with clouds. Now, back to church. Okay. The wind began to blow. Let's do that again. There was a drop of rain, then another, and then there was a great downpour. The drought was finally over. Everyone in Israel knew for certain that Jehovah, true God, was the real God, and Baal, false God, was just a make-believe God. The end. Don't turn it yet. So, you guys have some questions for me. What was your question, Charlie?
About my shirt glows in the dark.
Your shirt glows in the dark. Did you think of that when we were talking about the word fire? What made you think of that? Do you know? I'm so glad you told me about that. Flora, did you have a question?
Can we have a break?
You want to have a break, a mass break? We're going to have it in just 1 minute, okay? So first I want to ask you guys a question, okay? How long did the drought last for? Who knows?
A long time.
A long time. It could have lasted for up to 3 years, maybe, the Bible people say.
Wait, how is King Ahab still alive then?
How is he alive after not having water for 3 years? That is a good question. I think God took care of the people, don't you?
Yeah, but those were God's enemies.
They were. Why was there no rain for such a long time, though?
Because God said there wouldn't be.
That's right, because God said there's not going to be rain, and that's why there wasn't. Because Ahab really wasn't worshiping God, was he? What were the people worshiping?
Baal.
They were worshiping Baal and another idol called Ashtoreth, and okay, does anybody know how many prophets worship Baal? I told you in the story. Did anybody hear that number? 450 of them. That's a lot. And then there were another 450 prophets that worshipped Ashtoreth, another idol. Do you know who won the contest?
God.
God did. The Lord did, right? And Elijah. And Elijah was used by God, right? Who is the one true God? Jehovah. I'm going to ask that again. You guys shout it out. Who is the one true God? Jehovah. Great job. Okay.
Not going to have a mouse.
So we're going to have a verse today that we will learn later, and I'm going to tell you about that verse late in a minute, okay? When we come back. But first, what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a mass break because, you know what? Don't take it off yet. We're going to go outside. We'll see you kids when we come back. So guys, did you have fun outside playing that game about choices?
Yeah.
You had to choose whether something was a good choice or a bad choice.
Can I go over to my dad?
Yep, you can. But just a minute, don't go with him yet because we want to show your dad what our art project is so he can help you do it at home, okay? Just like the kids at home are going to get to do theirs at home, you guys get to do yours at home too because we ran out of time. First, we're going to say our Bible verse together, and then I'll show you how to do your art project, and then you can go, okay? So here's the Bible verse. If you know how to read, you can read it with me. Otherwise, just listen. Choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve. As for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. Joshua 24. 14 and 15. So who knows what this word is right here? What's that say?
Choose.
Choose. You need to make a choice. Are you going to serve the Lord like Joshua chose? Or are you going to choose to serve idols? God. I like your choice. That is a great choice. So you remember that all week long. Are you going to choose to do some of the things we didn't choose in our name? Or are you going to choose the good choices that come up?
The mouth and
So now I'm going to show you what our art project is, okay, for the kids at home and for the kids here. You could stop. So we're going to make this very special sheet. Can you guys all see this? And it says something on the bottom of it. And I'm going to send this sheet home to your parents if you're at home. And it says, I choose what?
to serve God.
I choose to serve God, because that's what you all said. I choose to serve God, and there it is. So you start with that sheet, and then you're going to get one of these. Who knows what that's a picture of? Want to take a guess? There was something in our Bible story
Like fire.
made of stones. It's where they put the fire, that's right.
It's a well.
It's not a well, it's called an altar. And that's where they made their sacrifices. And you remember how Elijah poured all his water on that? 12 barrels full of water. So look what you're going to make today. You're going to make a picture like that. So do you see what I did on the altar, Charlie, and everybody else? We put sticks for burning.
I can see.
We put a fire with little pieces of tissue paper. And we put shiny water on the bottom, okay? So I'm going to send home all these supplies with you today. And you kids at home, if you have some supplies like this, you can make one. Otherwise, you can just take the papers that I'm sending in your parents' email and you can color them and make it really, really pretty. And you'll remember the story about Elijah and how he chose to what? Serve God. Exactly. So kids at home, we'll see you next week. Maybe you can come in and join us here at church. But if you can't, we'll see you at your house again next week. Bye, everybody.